Friday, February 7th, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views, with the jobs data coming out later on today at 8:30 Eastern Time or 1:30 London time. I want to talk about the plastic surgery economic recovery. Sometimes it's better to use analogies to explain something that might be a little bit complicated to explain, something that might not be as easy to explain to the average public out there, especially in terms of the economic picture. We get bombarded, of course, with mainstream media, politicians, bankers, economists, talking about how the economy is doing great, the greatest economy. So today I want to make the analogy of the plastic surgery economic recovery. Before that, of course, let's quickly look at the markets, what they're doing this morning. It's 8:13 a.m. London time. I am in London. If you didn't know, that is Billy there. He's asleep again. Billy is a silver bug. He likes his silver coins. And I'm going to talk a little bit about silver when I look at the markets. Why I think silver as well is a huge gift to people who want to protect their savings versus inflation. So let's start with gold, as we usually do. Spot gold is at 1566, down just under $1, so not moving much. Range has been 1560.70 to 1569 overnight. And that's the spot price, of course. Silver is down 2.5 cents at 1778. The high has been 1788 and the low 1772. So before I go into the stock market, I'll show you why I think silver is the biggest steal or a huge gift to those who know what the game is, know what the inflation is doing to the fiat currency everywhere around the world. Just wanted to show you the chart. Almost a 10-year chart of silver. It's a monthly chart. And I would say that the downside is very limited in silver, but the upside potential is huge. And that's why I think silver is the biggest gift to savers. And when I talk about that, I don't mean buying futures or ETFs like SLV. I mean trying to accumulate the real thing. This is an ounce of silver, of course. It will cost you, depending on the premium or where you live, if there are taxes, it'll only cost you about $18. I think it's a steal, especially when you think that 40 years ago, in 1980, silver traded up to $50. Yes, there was a huge Hunt Brothers short squeeze, or people say they tried to corner the market. That's a different story. So, but to see silver here at $18, I think it's a big steal. Of course, silver has come from very low levels. In the early 2000s, it was trading around $4 or $5. So it has done well as well, but I think it's still a steal. So let's keep going. Stock market right now, the Dow future is down 33. So it has been down as much as 100 overnight. S&P is down just over a point. NASDAQ 100 future is down 4. So yeah, the stock markets are fairly stable. They're not ramping up again, even though by the time I finish this video and start editing it and publishing it, the Dow could be up 200. Who knows? Foreign exchange market, sterling remains fairly weak, or cable. And the reason I talk about sterling, of course, is for my viewers in the UK. It's the currency that we use, that we're forced to use, of course. It's a fiat currency backed by legal tender laws that force people to use it. We're at 129.30, unchanged. Euro down 0.1% at 109.69, so below 110. The dollar is slightly lower versus the yen at 109.89. Dollar's up 1/3% against the Chinese currency at 698. Crude oil 51.07, the WTI crude contract. Brent is at 55.06, also fairly unchanged. The 10-year yield is down 3 basis points at 161. So of course, non-farm payroll or the job data, that's been the number that markets look at very closely since I would say early 90s, mid 90s. It's been the number. Prior to that, I think it was the trade balance number, and prior to that, in the early 80s, mid 80s, was the M3 money supply data. So yeah, this is a number everyone looks at. And why do I say we have a Botox or plastic surgery economy or economic recovery? Really, but in the end of the day, it becomes a plastic surgery economy. Well, I think it's because the powers that be, the governments, the central banks, and this is not about just the US, it applies to the UK and other countries. They're pushing hard because politically it doesn't suit politicians that we have recession. So they push hard to extend economic recoveries. And we know historically that recoveries probably last anywhere between 8 to 10 years, maybe on average. And here we are 11 years into this economic recovery. And the other thing I would say, the whole recovery has been a plastic surgery recovery. I don't think we've recovered that well anyway from the '08 crisis. We would have recovered if they hadn't interfered or intervened with the plastic surgery to try to make it look better. We would have probably been recovering. It would have been painful right after it, more painful than it has been, but we probably would have been recovering. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard or seen pictures about all the famous celebrities. Usually they're female, and I'm not being sexist, it's a fact. They start aging and they want to look young, and they start having cosmetic or plastic surgery. And I think that's what's happening to the US economy. I think it's what's happening to the UK economy and a lot of other economies around the world that depend on this credit bubble going, and where politicians don't want to let the natural cycles occur. So who is the head plastic surgeon then? I think there are two plastic surgeons, actually head plastic surgeons right now. One is President Trump and the other one is Jay Powell of the Federal Reserve. And you'd think, well, those guys don't like each other. Well, but don't forget, it was President Trump that nominated Jay Powell as the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. He could have chosen someone else. No, he chose him. In public, they seem to disagree a lot. But I don't think, I think they're on the same wavelength. They're both plastic surgeons. And how do they inject the silicone or Botox, whatever you do? I'm not a specialist in plastic or cosmetic surgery. Well, you fiddle with the statistics. You inject the easy credit through the Federal Reserve. So you've got the head political guy, President Trump. He runs the bureaucracies that fiddle with the statistics. We get numbers saying that unemployment rate is 3.5%, which sounds really good. But then you look at the U.S. debt clock page, and it says U.S. workforce 159 million, not in labor force 95,609,000. So that's the real picture. of the economy, but we're never told about that. It's the plastic surgery economy. We're told that things are great. We're also told by the Federal Reserve that inflation's very low. Yes, and I would say Jay Powell and the Fed are the people who inject the materials to make the economy look better. Of course, the face of the economy is the stock market. And I would say that the stock market looks a little bit like a really bad case of plastic surgery that's gone bad. It doesn't fool everyone. It's fooling some of the people right now, and that's why the stock market is still looking good. It's still making all-time highs, but one day people will realize that it's all fake, just like plastic surgery is all fake. So there you go. Let's wait and see what the numbers are. Don't forget, these numbers are not really indicative of the economy. If you want to find out how the economy is probably really doing, I recommend a very good website called shadowstats.com. It's been run by John Williams for many years. So what John Williams does, he goes back to an age where there wasn't much surgery, plastic surgery in terms of economic data, and uses the methodology from the 80s and 90s, and then you get a real better picture of what's really going on. For example, in terms of CPI or inflation, he thinks we're a lot closer to 6 or even 8 and 10% than we are to 1 or 2, which is the number we're told by head surgeon Jay Powell. So there you go. Hopefully this analogy helped if you're not too clear about the economy. If you have any questions, comment below in the comment section. I'll try to answer all of them. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, think about subscribing. Please share this video far and wide as well. It helps. And you can also follow me on other platforms like Twitter, Facebook, BitChute, Steemit, and DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.